Well, hello and welcome. Day 13. We are organizing our home office. Why do you need to do this? Just trust me, you have to do it. You will save tons of time, stress, lots of money by running your affairs as effectively as good corporations do. Because we in the West, we are like little walking corporations. We have debts, we have assets, we have income, we have expenses, and not knowing where things are and not knowing how to manage this is, I think, a borderline crime. So stay with me and I'll walk you through my steps. But before I start, let me reminisce a little bit. Back in the days, I grew up in 70s, early 80s Soviet Union, in a horrible, small, dinky apartment called Khrushchevka. My parents had a very ugly piece of furniture that was something like a cupboard. It was called a servant, where my mom kept all kinds of things. She had her crystal, as well as some wooden pieces that looked like plates and little pots. Overall, looked really horrible. Next to the shelves was something like a bar, but because my family would never have any alcohol in storage, would not stay for longer than an hour. My mom used this area, so-called bar, for keeping her valuables. And as a kid, I would sneak in and I would play with her costume jewelry and I would go through all these valuables. It was, of course, nothing valuable there. But what was there, I remember, was a box of chocolate. And this chocolate box actually was a storage for the documents. This is it. This is how we in the Soviet Union kept our documents, because we didn't own cars, we didn't have multiple different investments, pension plans, insurances. Estate was, I don't know, people from Soviet Union had a hard time to understand what is a state, and as a result there was no need to keep anything organized. 1997, I came to Canada, and for just about 2 years I lived with my sister and my brother-in-law, where for the very first time I could see, oh, there is a home office, oh, all the utilities are actually stored in a hanging folders. And this is where I picked up originally the idea, but I took it to my own level because I don't like just to write the name of the folder. I actually like to type it and also color code it according to the category, and we'll talk about it later. So you would save tons of time and stress and money by knowing where things are, because at any given point of time, when you have to come up with a list of documents, whether it's an application for childcare subsidy, whether it's separation and divorce, whether it is a preparation of will, or just annual financial planning, you know where your things are. Number one, let's designate a particular area in your apartment or your house for this very purpose. If you are lucky one that you have a spare room, please don't keep it as a dining room you never use, or as a guest bedroom you never use or use once a year. Designate it as a working home office. In all of my homes, and I lived in way smaller homes, I always had one little bedroom that was my home office, and I think that's what kept me going, and that's what saved me tons of money in the long run. I'll give you a few examples. I had an issue with a mattress from Leon's, and the mattress was just sagging a bit, and guess what? Because I kept all the original documents, I was able to claim the warranty after almost 12 years of usage. I got new Moem faucets. I got new Wazer locks. I was able to sell used things for good fair market value because I had original documentation always intact. I was able actually once to repair a bar fridge because I had kept the original manual, and I could see what potential troubleshooting, look up these things, the model, everything on YouTube, and learn to do minor repairs myself. So let's designate the spot. Not only it will keep things segregated from the rest of your household, it also has some interesting psychological magic. You get into this spot and your brain is focused. When I come to my home office and I sit in front of my computer here, I'm different. I'm a different beast than I am in the kitchen or in the bedroom or anywhere else, because the walls, the decor, the conservative look of organized folders just somehow influence me, and I'm able to be productive, organized, and quite efficient. So this is not just about convenience, but I think there's some psychology in it too, that you know you're there for a reason and you do that. When I was a financial advisor back in the day, sometimes I had to make house calls, and I saw that there would be a husband who is, just a minute, architect, doing some project on his laptop in the middle of the kitchen, and continuously bickering with his wife about his presence and her smells and her sounds. So she was pissed off at him doing the architectural project. Can you imagine? And he was upset at her. By the way, she was cooking the dinner. Everybody were doing their own things, but because they were so close to each other, neither really appreciated the work that each of them were doing. Later in my career, I actually had one case when people were already in the process of separation. They approached me to help them with the documents, to organize it into Form 13.1, as we use in Ontario, and it's called financial disclosure. So you need sometimes 20 different documents, bank statements, pension statements, insurance, and yada, yada, yada. And they could not for months provide this list of documents. So after a few months of constant nagging and constant reminding that we were not going anywhere, and I really wanted a job. It was at the beginning of my practice. I didn't have that many clients. I could fire them right, left, and center. So I was determined, and I asked them, what if I come to your home and we'll just sit down together and go through your documents, and I'll tell you what I need? Well, when I came, I could see why I was not able to get any documents. They didn't even have designated spot for their statements and notice of assessments and so on. I actually saw the notice of assessment for the current year being in the kitchen under the kettle. And when I asked mom of the house, well, that's one of those important documents I need. She said, oh, really? I thought it was just here by accident. We'll just tear the check, the refund, and throw the rest. What I did, I suggested that why won't we organize everything? And it took me a couple of hours to at least show her what to do. And guess what? A few weeks later, I lost my job anyway with them because they reconciled. Apparently, this couple lived for years in a mess, and financially they were strangled. Mom was trying to run everything, and dad was working very, very hard as a truck driver. And even though they were eligible for childcare subsidy, they could never get it because it required an application process. An application process required just to submit some documents, and she could never get around it because she was busy with 3 kids, like 7, 4, and 2. I guess we can't even imagine that. And she could never get around it because the very first step she would not be able to find it, and so on and so on. And they were bickering at each other. Oh, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. But when I visited their home and showed them how to organize, and frankly speaking, kind of organized it myself, this very reason of them arguing all the time just went away, and she was able to sit down, get all the necessary paperwork very quickly, and apply for childcare subsidy. I'm so glad she did. And once this financial hurdle was out of the way and a lot of bickering went out of the way, they realized they had a really good relationship, and I saved this marriage. I lost financially because I didn't have an ongoing case, but I gained some really cool experience by seeing that a mess with your affairs can actually destroy a good marriage. So I hope I convinced you why you have to have your financial house in order. I hope you will proceed and complete it. So let's designate the spot. You can have a whole room for it if you're lucky. You may have just a nook, a little cranny, a little something, and there are lots of ideas how you can organize it. And even if you just have one room, please designate a corner where you would have just few organized boxes, but not the shoe boxes where everything goes, but more of a box that you can find at office supply store with the hanging folders. And okay, step number 2, let's get 4 boxes. Most people need less, but you'll see why I use 4. For your own financial affairs, for your own financial life, health life, everything personal. If you are in a common law relationship where you run your own bank account, your partner has his own or her own bank account, and you don't really commingle everything, I would say have 2 separate areas. If you are financially married and everything is joined, then you don't need another box. But today I see a lot of people with common law, or it's a boyfriend-girlfriend situation, or even married people say, this is mine, this is yours, we have marriage contract, end of story. Then yes, you need a place for your stuff, and you need another drawer or a cabinet or a box for your partner's stuff. If you have to file a separate business return, which is usually corporate return, I would have a separate box for all the financial documents for your corporation. If you don't, I would not do it, because the expenses that you do for business, you can just file it in a separate folder, but you would not need the amount of reporting, amount of financial document keeping as for person as you would need for a corporation. But if you have a business, absolutely have to have separate drawer for all the separate things. And when I was running my practice, I actually had a box for my company's expenses, my company errors and omission insurance, licensing, internet, club membership, all those things. And I had a separate drawer with all the client information filed alphabetically. If you don't have business, of course, you don't need that. And the other box, I would suggest everything you buy for yourself that it's over a certain threshold. For me, it's $100. For you, it could be anything. Anything that's of value to you compared to your relatively to your income. You create a separate box, separate drawer for all these warranties, receipts, invoices, what have you. I would give you several reasons why. First of all, you may want to return it, or you may want to claim your warranty. This is my mattress story, when I was so shocked that after 10 or 12 years of owning and sleeping on the mattress, I was able to get the new one instead of dishing out $1,000 just like that. And how much time did it take me to do everything? Maybe 2 hours at most. I don't make $500 an hour, and neither did I make this much back in the days. Therefore, that was a really good return on my investment on that time that I spent setting up the file and calling the company. Now, when you set up the file, let's say you buy an expensive piece of furniture. You set up something like this, and I don't necessarily type whatever it is. I take it usually from invoice or from manual, and I like the branding aspect of it because right away I know, oh yeah, Brick, that's the furniture store, or Miele, my favorite vacuum cleaner, or my piano. So you can zoom right in. That's how I use the labels for all the stuff that I own. And let's say I have an issue with my couch. Before I make a phone call to any place, any customer service, I get the file in front of me, I open it, and I have my order number, when I bought it, I have the warranty information. And as I speak with customer service people, I start making notes right in that file. Who I spoke, when I spoke, what's the name, what's the outcome, da. Because sometimes people are prompt, efficient, they do what they promise, sometimes they don't. And how nice it is that you can always go back to that file and read the records, who you spoke with, under what circumstances, what's going on. Helped me immensely because how often do you hear, oh, who did you talk to? Really? What is your whatever number? And then you feel like a fool because you don't know who you spoke to, you don't know what to say, and then get stressed and so on. It is quite useful to keep all these purchase documents organized because you may resell them later on. And few times I sold pieces, some furniture pieces that I kept original documentations of, and I was able to get more market value, more fair market value for them because of that. Insurance reason, if something happens, vandalism in your house, or you God forbid got robbed, you have those documents, and filing an insurance claim will not be daunting as it would be if you had no documents whatsoever. Imagine that you're already kind of stressed out after vandalism or robbery or, God forbid, fire damage, and then you would have to replicate what you owned. It's a really good idea to have those things somewhere. Again, fire would probably destroy your documents, but who says you can't have a soft copy or fireproof storage of your documents, which I actually think everybody should have, those metal file cabinets that will survive the fire. In summary, that's you can return it much easier, you can resell it much easier, you may claim insurance in case of whatever. Speaking of insurance, by the way, some property insurance covers your stuff outside of your house. And if, for example, you have something of value, let's say it could be some briefcase that it's $1,000, or jewelry or piece of clothing that it's of value to you, and let's say something happens to this outside of your home, it gets damaged, or somebody steals it from you, you actually can claim your home insurance policy for it. And hey, if you don't have documents, that will be very difficult to do. But if you have original receipts and original proof of purchase, that's a different story. I would summarize that keeping all my purchase documents in place overall probably saved me roughly maybe 20-30 grand in small and not so small claims, resales, claiming a warranty, tax deduction, insurance, etc. All right. Now, when you have a spot where you want to set up your home office and you think, okay, this will be my cabinet for business, this will be my cabinet for myself, maybe my partner, if you are not financially married, or you just want to keep things separately, and another one drawer for all the purchases. Now what? Now I suggest you use my template for labels and just get those plastic thingies and put those labels. I will share the link with you where you can get my whole book with all the templates, including file labelings. And if you don't want to create them from scratch, you can use my template or just do the screenshot of what I'm sharing right now and recreate your own. But my template is not just PDF, it's an Excel, and I will be putting one in Numbers where you can customize it, because we're all a bit different. And of course your statements, the name of the banks would be different. But how would I suggest you to organize your labels within those drawers? Use yourself as a centerpiece. And I always like to use my budget, because when you look at the budget, it contains the areas of your life. Housing, you have to live somewhere. Car, you have to get from point A to point B. You have financial services, all kind of insurances, all kind of banking services, childcare, of course, health, and maybe traveling, planning, and all those. So if you can think of the triangle with you at the top, and then your budget template, and then your filing labels, not 100%, but it's kind of connected. That's why I don't like accordion style filing boxes, because they never really matched what I needed to reflect my life. Creating your own labels, creating your own filing system, you're kind of replicating your lifestyle into your filing storage. That's the system that will work. And then once everything is in its place, anything will be a breeze. A few more examples. I was keeping medical information for my son since the minute he was born. For different reasons, I wasn't thinking of being an educator, how to keep documents. No, I kept it because he had a number of health issues when he was born. Not terrible, but some. Then we were separating with his dad, so I kept all the records to claim medical expenses, which even though I never got. But at age 9, he was diagnosed with learning disability, attention deficit disorder that was kind of a severe spectrum. And I was able to get disability tax credit approved for him because I had all the proper documents at my fingertips. Not just that, I actually was able to get to some medical reports that I kept from before, all the way 5 years prior to that, and get my annual taxes reassessed retroactively. That was roughly maybe 50-60 grand right there. I was running all my mom's affairs, and when time came for her placement at a nursing home, she completely lost her mind, was demented, and I actually needed authorities to make decisions. I was able to establish my case, which was quite tricky, quite controversial, because of all the documents that I was keeping for her over the years, with her doctors, banker, with the lawyers, and everything that I was able to present to the neutral party to make a decision about her nursing home. And that was huge. That was probably saved me from a lot of trouble. When my mom passed away, now almost 2 years ago, I was considering to use legal services, professional legal services, to do a state certificate and get few things in place. But then I just had everything at my fingertips and was able to save probably $2,000. And even though later in life I was able to afford to pay for certain services, I actually like the fact that I'm able to do it. And if you think that somebody, even if you can afford to pay them, will show up and miraculously put things together for you, they won't. They can help you to a degree, but if your financial house and if your home office is a mess, nobody will help you. So the summary of this episode is: don't rely on other people doing things for you. If they can, great, but nobody will be able to organize your stuff but you. And I'll leave you with that for today. Bye for now.